All right. Okay. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you for having some interest in UNC Adult Neurology. We're really excited, as we are every year, to welcome a new class and start our interview season. I'll start with introducing myself. I'm Winnie Lau. I'm the residency program director, and I will make excuses for Dr. Dina Williams, who unfortunately is feeling super under the weather, but that does not reduce her determination to be at our virtual open house. So she is here. She's going to stay camera off because she is feeling pretty unwell, and then she's going to mostly be manning our chats. I'm really sorry you don't get to feel her vibrant nature, but I'm sure you'll actually feel it through chats and emojis. And then I'd love to have our residents introduce themselves as well. So I will go down the line, and there's Dr. Williams making her apologies. I'll go down the line that I have in my screen and allow our residents to go ahead and introduce themselves. I'll start with Daniel.
Hey everyone, good evening. I'm Daniel. I'm one of the PGY1s.
All right, Chidich
Hey everyone, good evening. My name is Chidij. I'm one of the PGY2s. Very nice to meet you all. Welcome.
and Kristen.
Hey guys, I'm Kristen. I'm also a PGY2.
And Ferde.
Hi everyone, I am Feride, one of the PGY2. Welcome everyone.
And I saw Sanjana squeak in somewhere.
Hi everyone. Sorry, just trying to get my camera working. But I'm Sanjana, PGY3.
And I saw Jocelyn sneak in too. Oh, Jocelyn's doing sign out while she's listening in. Okay, Jocelyn will jump herself in at a later time. Let's see. Did I miss anyone as I was scanning the list of my residents? Just speak up if I did.
I'm here too.
Oh, hey, Aisha.
Hi, I'm Aisha, also one of the PGY1s. Excited that you're all here tonight.
All right, awesome. Well, I'm going to go ahead and throw up my PowerPoint here. Where is my share button? Well, that would be dramatic if I was suddenly missing my share button. I'd be very alarmed by that. All right. Here we go. Okay, so this is our beautiful hospital system. This is UNC Medical Center that I have here, and this is actually the view from our sky bridge, our parking structure. So you can see big medical campus, lots of hospitals involved in that medical campus, and it's a really great place to work. We already sort of introduced ourselves. Here are the emails for myself and Dr. Williams. Should you have any questions, feel free to reach out. And then I'm also including the email for our program coordinator, Sharon Ward. She is a great resource for our applicants and for our residents. And so should you have questions along the way in our interview season, please don't hesitate to reach out to her. And if she can't answer it, she will forward it to someone who can. And then, we love for you to know us a little bit as people. So we've included some of our hobbies and things because, we get your ERAS application, but you don't get ours. All right, a little bit about UNC Medical Center. So we are North Carolina's public hospital. We serve the catchment of the entire state, and we are part of a larger UNC system that covers the entire state, which you can see up there in the right upper corner. Our own hospital, this medical center where all of our residents work, is over 1,000 inpatient hospital beds. We're a level 1 trauma center, so we see a lot of really sick patients. We are also the state's burn center. Our emergency department sees 65,000 adults annually, and then like some other 40-something thousand pediatric emergency room visits annually. Our hospital admits about 37,000 patients per year. We have 900 HCGME residents and fellows kind of running around, running the show. And because we are a state and publicly funded institution, we do find that our population are the underserved and underinsured, with about 40% of our patients either Medicare, Medicaid, or otherwise government insured. And our medical system here at UNC Maine consists of multiple hospitals. So we have Cancer Hospital, Neuroscience Hospital, which I'll answer now is only a name, Women's Hospital, Children's Hospital, Memorial Hospital, and our brand new surgical hospital, which just opened this past year. And in our Department of Neurology, we host a huge number of faculty. I actually haven't even updated this faculty number yet. It's definitely more than 40. It's probably pushing 50 at this point. And amongst those faculty, we have really great broad representation in all aspects of neurology, including some that are quite unique, including neurogenetics, neuroinfectious disease, and global neurology. All the asterisks are the ones where we have fellowships available, both ACGME and UCNS certifications. Okay, so the basics, we are a residency program. I see the residents smiling at their own pictures. They know I love to slam these things with all their pictures. So we match 7 adult neurology residents per year. It is a categorical program, meaning that your intern year is embedded with us in the internal medicine department at UNC. We also match 2 pediatric neurology residents per year who actually end up joining for about half the year when you all are PGY2s. So the class becomes functionally very similar to 9. And then we do offer J1 visa sponsorship. So of your Q&A, I'm going to scatter some of the Q&A questions, like intersperse, so I can answer them for the pre-submitted questions. There was a question about how receptive is UNC to taking IMGs and what exactly are we looking for in IMG applicants. So we are very receptive. Actually, 10% of our residency program are IMGs on some of them on J1 waivers and some of them not, some of them on EADs. So what are we looking for? I mean, we're really looking for people who have a great passion for neurology and really shine through the application. It's incredibly important to me that of the IMG applicants, there must be a minimum of 1 letter from a neurologist, and that at least 2 of the letters of recommendation are from clinical care. We do also, because we are such a large medical system and there's a very, very steep learning curve, we do also require that there is some proximal experience in the US healthcare system within the last 3 years. Okay, and that's just to make sure that when you enter a big system like ours, you can hit the ground running. And so those are kind of our foundation pieces of what we're looking for. There is no specific USMLE cutoff. There's no specific step 1 or step 2 cutoff. You do ultimately have to have ECFMG certification by the time you go through the match. So to be on the rank list, you have to have ECFMG certification, but you don't have to have it at the time of application. Hopefully that answers those questions. All right, a little bit more about our service line. So we have a dedicated neuroscience floor that consists of 36 beds, which we do share amongst the stroke service, the general service, and our epilepsy monitoring unit. Our neurosurgical patients are also housed on that floor, so not all 36 are ours. We have a dedicated neuroscience intensive care unit, which is currently 22 beds, but actually will expand to 30 beds in 2026. And that has 2 dedicated neurocritical care teams that are a mix of advanced practice providers and residents. I know there's a question about the neuroscience ICU, so I'll answer that at the end, and hopefully there'll be time. The We also have a step-down unit that is specifically for neurology, neurosurgery, and ENT, and that consists of 18 beds. These are our admission numbers. The consult service is very busy. Today was a particularly busy day for our consult service, so they get to really see a huge variety of patients throughout the hospital and the emergency department and the ICUs. And then our residents do continuity clinic. It gets pretty busy. We actually phase you into it and ramp it up over time. But our residents see approximately 160 appointments per resident per year. In terms of the structure of continuity clinic, the way it works is we have approximately a 3-to-1 ratio of residents to attending. So there might be 6 residents in continuity clinic, 2 attending, staffing everything for all 6 of those residents. We usually have the attendings going in to see each of the patients that our second-year residents are seeing, but after a while, you really get into some graduated autonomy where the attending doesn't have to see every single patient in person. And actually, by the time you reach the last 6 months of your 4th year, we put you into something that's called an independent phase, where the senior residents can actually see the patients, discharge them, finish out their whole clinic, and then circle back and tell the attending all about the patients, just to confirm the plans. And that's really an opportunity to grow into that autonomous mode where you know that you can send your patient out with their plan. And if anything changes, you can, of course, call them. That's what happens in real life. It's like you suddenly think of something else, you change your mind, and you call them. But this really gets our senior residents ready to approach handling their own clinic when they graduate our program. I will kind of pause and poke at some of our residents, see if anyone else wants to mention anything about continuity clinic. This was one of the pre-submitted questions.
I can say a few things. I'm probably the one that's been in clinic the most here. But I think just some other notes about clinic. Definitely there's a transition from starting out clinic, your PGY2 to later on. I think that's like a big takeaway that I've been able to see kind of the results of that transition now that I'm in my 3rd year. So at the very end of your intern year, you actually get to shadow other residents in clinic just to see what it's like. And then you eventually take over one of the residents' patients, like one of the graduating seniors' patients. For me, that worked out well where I actually got to shadow one of the residents whose patients I was taking over. And so I already got some of that continuity. It doesn't always work that way because of scheduling, but when it does, it works well. And then after that, some like good clinic stories that I've had. I really enjoy seeing like post-hospital follow-ups in clinic. And so that's like a big bulk of what we do, especially early on in your PGY2 year, because you haven't necessarily developed your own patient population yet. So that's when you can start to really see what patients look like outside of the hospital after they've had a stroke or after whatever admission they've had. And I think that's really rewarding for me personally. And then that's also where you can really take ownership of the plan because you do basically the entire clinic visit alone with the patient, and then you present to the attending. And at a certain point, you'll feel comfortable enough to tell the patient the plan before confirming with your attending as well. So that's kind of, I think, where I'm at right now, where I'm starting to say like, okay, most likely we'll continue your anti-seizure medication. I won't have to see you for like another 6 months. That's like a really obvious, simple plan. But other ones like that, where you can really take ownership. And I think I'm starting to get a little bit more comfortable like doing the entire thing on my own and then just kind of double checking with my attending at the end for more like basic problems. But something else that we haven't mentioned yet is procedures in our clinic. So we can also do like occipital nerve blocks and some other procedures in our clinic. And so there's APPs that work within our clinic that I think do some more of those. So you can always get trained by them or like kind of shadow them, see what they're doing, and then eventually do it on your own. It's nice to have a clinic visit where you're doing that, like seeing a headache patient and also treating their headache with a procedure within the clinic itself. So yeah. If there's any other specific questions, I'm happy to answer them as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Sanjana. All right. Okay. This one I'm totally gonna kick out to our residents about who is the ideal candidate for our residency program.
I love that picture. I feel like that really kind of sums up who we are as like a whole program. It's kind of a mix of us as residents, and then I see a lot of significant others in the picture too. But I think kind of like in terms of the ideal candidate for our program, we're looking for people who are fun, who we can reliably count on. If you're joining our team, we want to be able to trust you, but also kind of have fun with you. And we hang out a lot in our workroom together. So when you spend so much time with your colleagues, they become friends. And so I think it's just important for us to be able to see that, you have a life outside of medicine. I think that's a big thing that kind of helps protect you as a resident, knowing what you can do when you go home to kind of counteract like burnout, for example. So when I think are, meeting you guys during interview season, that's something we kind of look at. And yeah, that's kind of my big thing, but I don't know if anyone else has other tips.
I think it was pretty spot on. I agree. Someone you can work with, but also have fun with outside of work. As Kristen said, we spend a lot of time with each other in and out of work. And if you don't want to do that, that's okay. But while you're at work, we would love people that are, enjoy jokes and watching fun YouTube videos and watching TV shows in the call room when things are not so busy, and just like hanging out, having a good time. I think we do a lot. We have a lot of hard days, and so I think having people that can help offload some of the stress is what's important.
I'll also put this here. Our residents know this set of core values really well because they've seen them all over our website and on our interview day, and they see them again on orientation day. These are really the core values that our program has as written by our residents, right? That they're first and foremost, they always worry about the patients. Sometimes more so than we tell them to. But we love that. And that they really are there to help each other, right? As Sanjana and Kristen were both saying, like, there can be tough days, and if you know that there's people to support you, that's what we're really looking for, is the people who are ready to be there and support each other, and to let each other know that if they need help. That's so incredibly important because you guys are in the trenches together, right? And this is a time of your life that you will remember forever. And many of these people will go on to be lifelong friends for you. And so for us, when we talk about the ideal candidate, we are not specifically looking for, a researcher or an educator or a community person or a private practice or academic medicine. We're actually open to all of those possibilities. And the most important thing for us is that your core values jive with our core values. All right. This one's for me. I won't expect any residents to answer this. So there's always a question about, well, how do we look at low step scores or low complex scores or even failed scores or any remediation in medical school? So we know that everybody has their own journey, right? And sometimes that journey can mean academic struggles, and it's all about how you came out of it. So we do not automatically screen anyone out based on a cutoff score. We also look at applications where people have failed tests or have remediated things, because we understand it's about the way that you grew and learned from that experience and how you have now gotten to the place where you are, right? I encourage applicants to be forthcoming about those elements in their application, right? There's plenty of places you can write about it, from your personal statement to impactful events, and you just be honest and say, you struggled with this because of this reason, and this is what you did thereafter, and this is how you've approached and strategized and mitigated. And we look at all of that. So we review our applications very holistically. All right. Then there was a question, what are the research opportunities for residents, and are faculty open to mentoring residents in research? And I thought this was best answered by a series of pictures. So these are all of our residents, and not even all of them, because it's just a handful of pictures that I could fit on the screen, who have done research through residency, have either published or presented their work at national, regional, national, and international conferences. So there is a plethora of faculty availability to mentor residents in research endeavors. I will also say that it even goes beyond research, like the fundamental research itself. We do have lots of research opportunities and a huge set of resources to do research, because we're such a big public institution attached to a lot of graduate schools. So we actually do have a lot of collaborations in our faculty with like a biomedical imaging research center. So there's some radiology studies that we do. We have clinical trials here that residents are welcome to become involved in. We have a top 2 public school of health associated with UNC, and a really excellent school of pharmacy. And so all of these allow for interdisciplinary approaches to research, which is really exciting. And a lot of our residents have taken advantage of that. But like I said, it's not just research that's available to our residents. We like to call these things neurology plus. So the little extra things you do to professionally develop yourself over time, so that you're a solid neurologist and you're a solid something else. We have lots of residents who engage in education and identify themselves as clinical educators. We're very happy this year that we rolled out a neurology education track, and this was actually a project by 2 of our residents who are currently PGY3s, Casey Manzanero and Nikash Shankar. Our residents go out into the School of Medicine and into the community doing lectures and fostering themselves as teachers. So that top picture is Trisha Factora, one of our chief residents, actually lecturing to emergency medical service providers at our regional heart and brain conference. And the image below that is Nikash. He's actually doing a talk for internal medicine residents on the outpatient management of headaches. So lots of opportunities. We also have a lot of community engagement and health equity work that we do. We have a community engagement committee that's actually co-chaired by one of our residents, and is always co-chaired by one of our residents. And they work on things like how to get access to subspecialties via telehealth clinic visits. Many of them, Sean, who's one of our chief residents, helped me set up a rural community neurology rotation out in Hendersonville, which is in the eastern part of North Carolina. And then this year, we're actually doing a very specialized health disparities in neurology lecture series that several of our faculty are working on with me, along with our financial advisors and our social workers. So lots of opportunities there. Maybe QI is your thing. UNC is a powerhouse when it comes to quality improvement, and there are specific training programs that residents can get involved in should they want to make this a part of their career. Many of our residents have gone on to take their quality improvement projects on to national conferences and are still being used to this day in our residency program and in the hospital system. And then we have a bunch of other cool pluses, including global neurology in a partnership with our colleagues in Peru. And maybe I think I saw Edwin pop in. I don't know if Edwin wants to talk a little bit about this. I know you weren't necessarily there when we were doing this, but maybe you can talk on it if you're there.
Yeah, I think this is a great opportunity for everyone because Peru has a lot of very interesting diseases that you will not get to see in the US. So it's a fantastic opportunity for you to get, more experience on how to treat tuberculosis or other diseases that you will not find quite often. I think that also seeing how we rely more on our physical examination, it's something that you can also have like a takeaway from this opportunity. So I think that it's a great experience for everyone who really will go to Peru and just experience it by themselves. Yeah.
Thanks, Edwin. Edwin, as you can see, is one of our first-year residents. Okay. So again, this is all Q&A driven. How would you like to see the program grow? I think I'll just say first and foremost that for the past couple of years, we've actually been trying to grow our residency program and increase the complement so that we can go beyond 7 per year. There have been some financial issues with that, and that we've been working on it, we've been applying it, so we're still very hopeful that that can happen over the next few coming years, but it's not absolutely set in stone. The desire to grow our residency program is really because we are employing an X+Y schedule for our second-year residents. For those of you that don't know what an X+Y is, essentially what it means is we separate our inpatient time from our outpatient time, and we don't let those two things bleed over. So if you are on an inpatient service like the stroke service, you won't have responsibilities to go to continuity clinic in the afternoon, right? So you won't have to drop all of your work and leave and go to continuity clinic, which is sort of a more traditional model. And we do that specifically for our second-year residents so they can really immerse themselves in each of those spaces, right? So they can learn inpatient medicine, and then when they're outpatient, they can learn outpatient neurology topics and not have so much cognitive clutter in between. It also allows us to make sure that people don't get just annihilated with really, really long inpatient stretches because we break them up with these outpatient stretches. And we're able to do that for our second-year residents, but we are not currently doing that for our third and fourth-year residents because there's a little bit of a sacrifice that needs to be made in order to run that, which is you lose a lot of elective time. And for our third and fourth-year residents, the elective time is really important to make sure that they can get ready for fellowship should they choose to do that, or kind of tighten up all their general neurology skills before they move on to graduate. And so we wanted to protect the elective time for our 3s and our 4s. But ideally, we would like to move everyone towards that type of model while preserving elective time, and that's our overall goal. I will kick the remainder of this question out to our residents to see if there are other things that they would like to see in happen in the program, and then I'm going to take notes.
I guess I could. Yeah, I guess I could go. Yeah, so as Dr. Lau was saying that, there's a lot of, mentorship with, research opportunities and just, other opportunities as well. I think what we started this year was house mentors. Basically, every, resident from PGY1 to PGY4 kind of gets paired to a attending, and you kind of have just a general, and I think it's randomized, and basically it helps just give you a mentor for the whole residency program, and you can also get together with a resident from every level, and I think that that's awesome, and I think that has so much potential, and we've already had some meetings with our house, and I think it's a wonderful idea, and I can't wait to see that grow.
I can touch on like the flip side. So I think there's been a lot of growth in our program already in like the past few years that I've been here. Something that my class kind of decided together in our first year was that we wanted to be known as like the nice neurologists like in the hospital that everyone in the hospital could come to and like be happy to talk to about any consult. Because I think prior to us, there was maybe, you know, some back and forth between neurology and other teams in the hospital where I think they were really probably came from a lot of burnout and being really busy. So I think there's been a pretty big culture shift, and I've been seeing kind of a pretty big shift in the way that we approach consults now over the phone when someone calls us. And I think that's been a shift, like it's an internal shift, right? Because it has to come from us first when we like pick up the phone and change that culture. And I think that started from us being interns and like being friends with everyone in the hospital and then continuing that throughout like the next few years. And I think I've noticed that even on nights when you're mostly alone, you don't have other residents that are with you. I've noticed that, like, you know, when I pick up the phone and I see like, hey, it's like that person I worked with 2 years ago, they usually remember me or they remember whoever they talked to. And I think it already puts us off to a great start. And so I really enjoyed that. And I want to see that grow even more. And so that's one little thing. Other things is, I think, as I mentioned earlier, we all love to hang out with each other and like spend a lot of time. And so I want to see more of like the social events. Last year we had like wellness events that were thrown by the department every month. And so seeing more of those kinds of opportunities would be great.
I'm skipping around now because Sanjana touched on wellness events and Kristen sort of mentioned it too. So I'll just jump to the question of what is wellness like in your program and how do you address burnout? So as Sanjana was saying, we do a lot of events because I think that's a chance for you all to sit with each other and actually sit with some of the faculty and remember that we're all people, right? We work in the hospital, but we are people in our lives, right? And to get to know each other in that way. And so we've been doing just like a monthly break at the hospital, right? Instead of didactic, instead of like returning consults, we just say, hey, like we're all going to go over here. We're going to go like have lunch. It's usually themed in some way. So we had like a tea party bake off, which was like the prime event of the year. And we actually need to arrange the next bake off, which was residents versus faculty. We had like a Halloween trick or treat. The residents, we have give them a resident retreat where they kind of break off in the afternoon. Faculty and former residents, now fellows, kind of sit there and nervously like wipe the sweat off of their brow as they manage the hospital. And you won't believe how easy it is for the fellows to forget what it was like to be a resident 4 months ago. And then lots of holiday parties, and we try to really celebrate when the residents do something awesome, like find a great stroke and get the tenecteplase in like really fast, or made an awesome diagnostic catch, like diagnosed ALS based on this like tiny little thing. We really try to make sure we're recognizing our residents when they do that and sharing their successes. And I think that's really helpful. Additionally, UNC as a system has a lot of health and wellness resources. The House Staff Council, which is for all of the house staff in the hospital, have this really great website, which I encourage you all to just Google and look through. All the resources for our well-being program. Our GME offers ride reimbursement if for some reason you're too tired to go home and you don't want to catch a nap at the hospital, then okay, take a lift home, don't drive drowsy. We have an amazing taking care of your own program, which helps plug residents into mental health services should anyone need it. And we really encourage our residents to actually take advantage of that. In addition to like our faculty taking advantage of that. And we really want to make sure that everybody knows that we all can get in that space sometime and we all can ask for help and we all should ask for help when we need it. And so we are a culture that really we're mindful of your mental health and your mental well-being. And because we care about you as a person, we want to make sure that anyone who needs help has it. I'll let any other residents kind of chime in on other things that we do for wellness or that you do for wellness. Never mind that the gym recently got closed down.
For wellness, I think I do a couple of things. And I want to give a special shout out to Dr. Lau for this because I mentioned last year that one of the things that I do to kind of like decompress and kind of calm down after work is I like to do like paint by numbers, just because it allows me to kind of like turn my brain off, but also do something creative. And so she literally created a wellness event that one of our other faculty members hosted, and we just painted and had some wine and some sushi and some other fun junk food snacks. And so I think that was a really great event. And now we have all of those paintings that we all did together that are kind of in our workroom in our clinic. And so I think that's just something fun that I normally do. I feel like in terms of resident wellness, it's a little bit more difficult for us to hang out as a class. So when I say that, I think it's hard just based on our schedules for me to hang out with other PGY2s, just because we're all working the same shifts. But there's a lot more flexibility for us to hang out with other people kind of vertically. So I'm really good friends with a lot of the with like Sanjana and Casey, for example. We've hung out a lot outside of work, and just being able to like play board games with them and just kind of like decompress and vent and kind of talk about, you know, our lives in medicine is one way that we kind of work on wellness. Like Dr. Lau mentioned, there's formal, like if you need counseling, the hospital offers that to all the residents. And then we are trying to get a group of us together where we can like all exercise together. But I think that's something that we're like trying to work on, like a Pilates club here for us girls. But it's just
It's
stuff
very
like that.
easy
I
to
mean,
find a group of people to drink wine together monthly. It's really hard to get a group to
I didn't
exercise
want to
monthly.
mention that, but my favorite part of this program and part of the reason I think why I rank this program is we have a wine club. And it's drinking wine and whining. So
Informal, not through the program.
Yeah.
Informal.
That's probably one of my favorite ways to kind of decompress and just kind of hang out with my friends. So
Yeah, for me, I actually picked up a couple of hobbies intern year that I didn't have before and I never would have thought of. Like I was able to pick up rock climbing, which was something I never imagined myself doing. And I think that the big thing to keep in mind is like, we have a lot of stuff that we're doing at a given point in the hospital. But, I think the program is structured, at least for intern year and P2 year, that like you have stretches where, you're on a rotation that's busier, but then you have time where you're kind of coasting a little bit more and you have that time to catch a breather. And so, I think should you end up here, I think you'll have those opportunities to really sort of catch your breath and explore things that you do for fun, or even take up new hobbies. And I think I did not imagine going to intern year that I'd be able to do what I was doing for fun. And even now too, like the things I'm doing, like rock climbing, writing stories, all that, like I thought I'd have to throw that out the window. And in fact, if anything, I kind of added on a couple more things. So this is a wonderful program to have that balance if you go looking for that.
Yeah.
I didn't know you go climbing, dude. We gotta join up sometime and do that.
Wait,
It's been
yeah,
a
oh my
minute since I've
God, we
been.
gotta go. Do you go to TRC or?
No, it's like been a long time. I gotta get back into it.
Oh my God. Okay, yeah.
Hit me up.
I'll hit you up. Yeah. That's awesome. Okay, cool. I'll hit you up. That's amazing.
Ray's a rock climber the same way I'm a rock climber. Like, yeah, I haven't been in a while, but I do like it.
I got my chalk bag, I got my climbing shoes. I used to
You-
be very into it. Now I'm very lazy, but
You're better
hopefully
than
that'll
I am. I
change.
have like the shoes, but not the chalk bag. I just kind of do it. I just use my sweaty palms and try to climb the rocks that way.
You can have my chalk bag, Chidich.
Ooh, I'll take it
It's
gladly.
probably lonely.
I'll
I'm not
inherit it
sure
from
my
you.
shoes fit. I'll bring it for you tomorrow. Okay, let's backtrack just a little bit on these slides. Okay, there was a question about what kind of perks, benefits do our residents get? So in terms of perks, every resident does have an annual book fund. I will self-admittedly say it's not the biggest book fund. We are a state-funded institution. But the residents actually get pretty good benefits otherwise. Because we're a public institution, all of this stuff has to be publicly reported. So you can go Google UNC Graduate Medical Education, and you will immediately, unfortunately for our residents, see what their salary is and then what benefits they have available to them in terms of things like healthcare benefits, as well as like other discounts and stuff like that. We do fund our residents up to $1,600 to go present at a conference if they are in fact presenting. And that is per year. And so we have a number of residents who, who have had things accepted for presentation at conferences, and we have been very supportive of sending them. Our senior residents get a little freebie. They get to go to AAN for free during their 4th year. No conference presentation required. If residents are publishing or doing research and they have like tiny little fees, like here's my abstract submission fee, or here's my open access publication fee, or I need a license to this software that helps me process my qualitative research. Our chair, Dr. Garden, has been very generous in funding those things for residents. We will cover your step 3 or COMLEX 3 as long as you take it before your 3rd year. Most of our residents try to take it their intern year before they come to neurology, because it does get a little bit busy in your 2nd year. And then this one's a big ticket item. We will cover the board registration fees for our graduating senior residents, so long as they're planning to take it in the same year as their graduation. And the reason for that is because we want them to take it their same year of graduation. That is when there's the highest pass rate and everyone does really well, because you're really leaving this program as a general neurologist and your brain is really strong in that. And as I mentioned, when you enter fellowship, you start kind of narrowing into subspecialty and you can lose some of that knowledge. So we want our residents to take it right away, because that really increases their success. And we have 100% board pass rate for our senior residents last year. So I think that really works out for us. Okay. And then this is our last slide, and I'm going to kick this out to the whole group in a second, but it's what's something you want to brag about in your program. And I'm just going to show you this, because they are the people that I brag about. Like, that is it. There's no other bragging except for the residents that make this program, because they're wonderful, they're funny, they're smart, completely brilliant, so compassionate, so empathetic. They impress me every day, and they are the heart and soul of the residency program. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and then I'm going to open the forum up to the rest of our residents to tell us what you'd like to brag about. Don't all jump, or I'll start calling on you. I know you guys are doing that silent thing because each of you is like not on screen. I'll start with Ray because he's a chief. I'm gonna go.
Yeah, it's hard to like jump in because I'm like, oh
juniors.
no, what if other people have stuff they want to say?
Fine, I'll call on you.
Yeah, that's okay. It's one of the biggest things I would brag about the program is like I would choose it again for residency if given the choice, which hopefully is like a really big seal of approval. I guess like broad strokes, when you like think about trying to choose a program and like you're doing the open house stuff, and a lot of it is sort of like hard to internalize. Like the big points that stand out for me and things that I was looking for, had a cohort of residents that were super cool. They were a lot of fun to hang out with. They were a lot of fun to talk to. It seemed like a group of people that really cared about like doing a good job and being there for each other. And that's what I've gotten since I've been here too, which is awesome. Similarly, like our administration has been super communicative, like really supportive. We do meetings at the minimum like once every academic term. We talk a lot about kind of what your goals are for moving forward and how they can help get you there, whether that be like getting set up with research projects or presentations at like local conferences and things like that. Tons of exposure. kind of wherever you want the experience. If you want more EEG time, you can get it. If you want more EMG time, you can get it. If you want to spend time in the angio suite and help you through back tubing stuff, you can get that too. Like, there's tons of opportunities that you can just sort of like take or leave depending on where your interest pans out, and that's been super cool for me as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Ray.
I can go next. So for me, I would say number one, the people. Obviously, I think that's gonna be most people's answer. But it's 100% true. Like I wouldn't make that up. It would definitely be the residents and the attendings. Like I don't exclude anyone when I say the people. So I think there's like truly support like everywhere. I don't know how Dr. Lau and Dr. Williams like happened to pick each class, but it worked out amazing. Like I absolutely love my class. We do like hangouts all the time. Like every time we like don't get time to hang out and we like come back together, it takes like hours for us to catch up with each other. So like just last week we were at someone's house and I think like it was one of those moments where we kept saying bye and it was like at the door and then it was like at our car and then like it just like kept going and everyone had to be at work at 6:45, but we were still doing that because we just wanted to keep talking to each other. And I think that stands at work too. Like I genuinely enjoy working with everyone when I'm at work. Like and like outside and like whether it's like going to a code stroke together, like that's like something that I don't think every program has, where like another resident will be like, oh, I'll just come with you just to hang out and like also provide moral support. And that's just like so nice that people do that. And so something that I've missed a lot on nights is like having someone with me just to chat with, like not necessarily like also for the work, but also just someone to chat with. And so I think that's a huge part. Something else that I really would want to brag about our program with is the work-life balance. I think it truly is a place where you're not only a resident, you can also be a person. And so there's truly time built into our schedule, not just the XY, but even like the way the shifts are built. Like you're never, we have swing shifts and we have processes like built into place where you won't hopefully be staying like hours past your shifts. And if you are, that's a problem and you should tell someone about it and then we'll help fix that problem. And that was honestly very true. Like I think obviously when there's transitions, like when you're a second year and you're starting out, you might leave late, but I think throughout my entire residency has been like probably like I can count on my finger like a number of times where I've truly stayed past the time where I was supposed to be there. And I think that that's very unique for UNC.
Jocelyn and Trisha. I saw Trisha back there. She's
Hi guys. Jocelyn, PGY2. I am actually in the workroom right now. We have Nikosh here with me. He's our overnight resident. So yeah. We really enjoyed everything that was discussed here. I guess another thing we can brag about is that there's like food here at all times. We started like a snack bar, so there's at all times, at all hours, there's food, which I appreciate people through food. So I give food to everyone I adore.
I'd say one of the best things that I've really come to love about the program is that I think there's a lot of innovation that kind of happens, and there's a lot of opportunity to make the opportunities that you want to have. For example, I think I was coming into the program really interested in medical education. And I was able to talk to several people, was able to start getting in touch with different attendings who were responsible for doing like giving lectures to internal medicine residents. So now I give kind of like some of their neurology noon didactics. There's a lot of opportunities for research, and I think everyone's just so supportive, and whatever your interests are, they will find a way to either help you with opportunities we have here or make opportunities here or link you up with people kind of outside of UNC who can help kind of support your goals. So I'll say regardless of what your interests are, I think you'll always have a place here and people who are willing to support it.
Yes, I tapped into the snacks today too because Trisha bought peanut butter cups, which meant I ate 3 peanut butter cups today because we also stole one from the Make You consult jar. I saw Julia unmute before I cut her off, so I'll let her go.
No, I was wondering if I cut you off, Dr. Lau. I just wanted, it was kind of similar to what Sanjana was saying. Like, I feel like the word support is like really, really descriptive of how UNC has been, especially as like interns. Like you come in and you have like a million questions, and all of like these wonderful residents and faculty are just here to like support you no matter how hard it is. So like on the hardest of day, like even if I'm scared, I just know I have people around me to support me. And that goes for like when you're in the internal medicine side of things too. I feel like everybody has been super supportive and they really make you feel like you're part of their team, even if we're like neuro folks. So it's just been wonderful and it really takes away, you know, some of that anxiety of going into the hospital and makes it fun.
Yeah, I can definitely speak to the people. I know that's something that's been a consistent theme, but it truly is the case. I know when I was interviewing and I was in the open house, that was something that actually I think I forget who it was. I forget if it was Ray or someone else, but people mentioned the current residents mentioned the people, and I was, I can definitely relate to that right now. One of my highlights of intern year was spending some time watching. There was a Lord of the Rings anime that came out in intern year, and like, yep, I see Julia pumping her fist. And like that was some of us went to see that in theaters, and that was amazing. And I think I didn't get a chance to answer this question earlier, but one of the directions I want to see the program grow is to have some tokenization of the residency. One of our chiefs from last year used to essentially like use a reflex hammer to knight people when they got signed off on strokes, and so I certainly intend to bring like the oath of Elendil into that mix and do some fun stuff. So certainly hope to see the residency grow in that direction. But yeah, we're a wonderful group of people. We enjoy neurology, we enjoy learning about the brain and all its pathologies, but we also are very well-rounded people too, and we like really spend a lot of time just getting to know each other and have an interest in getting to know each other too. So, you know, people are absolutely wonderful and make this all worth it.
I like that your criticism of our program is that we're not nerdy enough.
All right. Rapid fire for the remainders.
Also, I want to talk about the attendings. I always feel comfortable talk with them. They were always allowed to teach us, and you never feel lonely if you have some strugglings. If you need help, there will be always someone to help you.
And then I'm gonna, with the little dead space, I'm gonna add one because none of the residents have said it because they actually usually don't realize it until they talk to residents at other programs. But our residents have a high level of autonomy when it comes to stroke codes in particular. You see now you see Ray and Sandra nodding their head because they actually like don't really know this until, and Ray knows because he's interviewed for stroke fellowship and now he like understands what everybody else's experiences are because he'll interview somewhere and they'll tell him what he'll do as a fellow and Ray gets to say, I already do that. So I'll let Ray kind of talk about that a little bit because that is truly unique to UNC.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Code start process is super cool. When you start off in your first neuro year as a PGY2, you have a period of time called buddy call. Which like the precise structure of that like changes from year to year based on kind of what everyone feels like is a good like structured plan to move forward with. But essentially for your first few like code strokes or similar codes, you have a senior that comes along with you. And so you're free to like be as hands-on as you want or back off and kind of like watch as much as you feel comfortable with. But essentially, you have a senior who's there with you to help kind of take you through the process, make sure you're like covering all the gaps, help you with kind of like the acute decision-making process and moving forward with whatever you think is necessary. By the time you get signed off from buddy call, which can be as short as like just seeing three code strokes, point like you should feel comfortable making a call for like I'm going to give TPA or TNK, I'm going to send them off for throw them back to me based on XYZ findings, and you're able to like kind of make that call. You do staff that with a senior, but ultimately like you have the power to kind of like use your judgment to make that call yourself. So it's wild for me, like when I was doing a lot of like interviews, and there's a lot of different ways that like stroke fellowships do their practice from place to place. But there'd be a bunch of places that'd be like, oh, you know, I'm most of the way through my fellowship, so now I don't need to ask permission anymore to give TPA. Now I only have to call permission for if I call like a thrombectomy or something. And I was like, wow, if like my PGY2 called me up and said like, hey man, like I gave TPA and got the advanced imaging and sent them off for thrombectomy, I'd be like, cool, sounds pretty good. um so you get a lot of autonomy and a lot of freedom to make the calls, and like a lot of the training and support too, like to feel confident and comfortable with making those calls extremely early on. And I think that extends through to like a lot of what we do as well, not just the code stroke stuff. Similarly, like we get a lot of training and a lot of autonomy to like be looking at EEG. So if you're the person overnight and they ask you, is this person seizing, like you can feel pretty comfortable pulling that up and being like, yeah, there it is or not. And then similar, like we get a lot of exposure to like EMGs and stuff like that in our third year, for example, and you can supplement that however much your level of interest is. Which is why I think everyone in our year is going off for fellowship in some form or another, but there's been plenty of years that like everyone goes off and does like various like neuro hospitalist gigs and what have you, and everyone feels extremely comfortable with kind of practicing the full gamut of stuff wherever they might end up, which is super cool.
All right. It's 8 o'clock. I want to respect everyone's time. So I'm gonna give one resident the last bragging. So whoever wants to take that, just unmute.
Okay, just because it hasn't been said, I do want to say that I think one of the perks of being at UNC is also just being in this area. I grew up around here and then I moved away, and I was just very excited to come back. I think it's just a nice place to work and live, and there's a lot to do and a lot to eat. It's really pretty. And yeah, like we've already like done some activities like just kind of all over in our intern class. Just a really nice place to explore.
Right. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining us this evening. For this will be posted on YouTube, hopefully in about the next 3 or 4 days after we just like go through and edit. Thank you, Dr. Williams, for being an absolute beast in the chat. I'm so sorry that you were feeling sick and couldn't really join as much, but you obviously showed yourself via the chat. And thank you to all our residents who were answering. I haven't even looked through it, but it was all amazing. It'll be so nice to meet you all. I look forward to reading all of your applications, and good luck with your interview season. Thank you.